Hello and welcome back to the STS School channel. This time I'm going to be making a video on teaching you factorization method and the quadratic equation method. Now I'm going to be teaching you two ways of doing the quadratic equation. One is for even numbers while the other is for odd numbers. So stay tuned for that. First I'm going to start off with factorization. Now the question you see on the screen is just a basic question of factorization. It doesn't need much maths or any calculations a lot. So basically if you know how to do factorization, it's the brackets here. For example, I'll keep it like this. Now the answer for this will be the multiplication of x times x, this x times 2, and then that will be x squared plus 2x, right? And then it's gonna be 3x, which basically is 3 times x, and it's gonna be 3 times 2, which is basically 6, equals 0. Now we're gonna add the like terms. So x squared plus 5x plus 6 equals 0. Okay, so then we're gonna see that that's the answer over here already, which is x squared plus 5x plus 6. That's the answer of this. So now you get the idea of how to do factorization. Now to create the two pairs of brackets for this, you're gonna need to put two pairs of brackets like this first. This is the first step in solving this as factorization. Now since you see that the first number is x squared, which basically is 1 times 1, if there's a whole number, that's the only thing that's possibly a factor of 1, 1 and 1. So you're gonna put x, not 1. You note down you're gonna put x because this is x squared and x times x is x squared. You'll put down x in these two brackets, and then since the sign on the first, which is basically this sign is negative, so we're gonna put negative on both sides of the equation to make your life easier. Now if it was positive, we would be putting positive, but as I told, this is a basic equation and we'll be starting off with negative. Now for negative, you can see that we have two x's and two negative signs. Now we are gonna need to take the factors of this number. The factors of 9 are three factors: 1, 3, and 9. Now 1 times 9 and 3 times 3. I'm just gonna erase a bit of this off here. There you go. And now you can see that 1 times 9, when added together, since this is negative negative, remember positive negative is equal to subtraction, but the larger number that is positive, for example, positive 2 minus negative 1 is going to be positive 1, while negative negative equals plus, but you'll still have to put the negative sign. For example, negative 2 negative 1 equals negative 3. That's addition of the numbers and copy down the sign. And then negative 2 plus 1, which is positive 1, equals negative 1 because the larger number is negative 2 and it has a negative, while for positive it's gonna be just addition. So now you get the point of that. Now it will be easier for you. So since these both are negative, negative 9 negative 10, negative 9 negative 1 is equal to negative 10. So now you can see that this is equal to negative 10, so that doesn't match with negative 6 at all. So now you're gonna take these both as they match up to negative 6 or add up. So now this is gonna become x minus 3 and x minus 3. Now this is not it. They will ask you to find the x as well. So if you know basic algebraic equations, this is basically x minus 3 equals to 0, which is x equals 3. And this one is the same as this, so x is gonna be equal to 3. There's no other answer. Now, as I told you, if this was positive, this sign would be positive, this sign would be positive, this sign would be positive, and when you transfer this, it would be negative. So now you get the idea of the basic ones. Now let's go on with some a little bit complicated than this, which is gonna be positive and negative sign. So I'm gonna show an example of that. Let me just erase this. Takes a little bit time. Don't worry. Okay. Now for the question, for that we're gonna be taking the question from the questions I prepared here. So one of the questions will be this. So we're gonna solve this one right over here. So x, so remember, this is just the same as that, but this time, actually, you know what, we'll be keeping this for later. Now we're gonna be solving this equation. This is easy. So you see that what's the common between this pair? It's 2 and x. 2 and x are the common thing. So basically you extract this out. So 2x brackets equals 0. Now inside the brackets is going to be what you multiply by 2x. That's going to turn out to be this. So 2x times x is going to be 2x squared. And 2x times negative 2 is going to be negative 4x. So now that gives you the answer. Now x is gonna be equals to 2 because x minus 2 equals 0, x equals 2, and the other x is gonna be 0. In cases like this, when there's no other number in the bracket there, it's gonna be x equals 0. These are your answers for x. Now since you understand that, I'm gonna be proceeding with positive negative. So guys, always remember, for example, there's a question x plus 6. Oh, sorry, I'm just giving the factorization of it. X squared plus, let's say, 7x, okay, my negative 18. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Yeah, it does. So x squared plus 7x minus 18 equals 0. Now for that, first thing you do is take round brackets. This is gonna be positive. This is gonna be negative. I didn't write the x there. This is gonna be negative. You basically just copy that down. So what this means is the number here, when subtracted by the number here, should give this. And the two numbers here should be multiplied into negative 18. Now, 18, the factors of 18 are 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, 18, right? So, the pair that when you multiply and you get negative 18 can be any one of this, and this. But this pair specifically gives you, when you subtract them together, it gives you either negative 7 or 7. So we are going to be using that as we need positive 7 here. Now when we do that, we're basically going to get x plus 9, x minus 2. Now that's when multiplied together is going to be x squared minus 2x positive 9x negative 18. So let's write that down. X squared negative 2x plus 9x negative 18. That's gonna be x squared plus 7x negative 18. Voila, there you go. But no, that's not it. You have to find out the x. Now, x plus 9 equals 0 is one of the x, and x minus 2 equals 0 is one of the x. So this changes to x equals negative 9, and this changes to x equals positive 2. That's it. So that's your final answer. I hope you understand factorization. Now I'm going to be moving on with quadratic equations. So let's just go to this slide instead of wasting time erasing. Okay, so this question, you can do it in two ways. Okay, so this question can be done in two ways using the quadratic equation. So I'm going to be using the quadratic equation here. Now, if you don't remember the quadratic equation, let me just remind you guys. Quadratic equation is basically x equals negative b plus or minus b squared negative 4ac over 2a. And another version of the quadratic equation is negative b inverse, which is the half of b, plus or minus the square root of the half of b squared negative ac, there's no 4, over a. This is when your b is even. This is when your b is odd. So I'm going to be going back to this document. You see that our b here is even. So for this, we are going to be using the method x equals half of b root of b half squared negative ac over a. Now that copied is basically x equals half of b negative, sorry, here, negative 7 plus or minus the square root of the half of 14, which is negative 7, which is 7 actually, time squared. 7 squared is 49. The square root of 49 minus AC, which is this, times this, which equals to negative 15 over 3, which is only A, as you can see here. So now when you do that, you'll get x equals negative 7 plus or minus square root of 34 over 3. Now let's just go to that page and write this down. Okay. So it was negative 7 plus 49 So negative 7 plus or minus the square root of 34 over 3 equals, x equals this. There's no answer to this unless you go to your calculator and simplify this through 34 to a whole number or decimal number actually. And then you'll get the answer of x. But for now, this is the answer of x. And this cannot be simplified using factorization, by the way. Now, since you already know this method, which is easier for even numbers, you don't need to go through the process of multiplying by 4. We are going to be using this method for odd numbers, which basically means that it doesn't have, it has a half, but it has for example, 9. X squared minus 9x plus 6. 9, the half of 9 is 4.5. That's a decimal number. You don't want to be complicated like that. This is so complicated. We'll just scribble that out for now. X squared minus 9x plus 6. You will be using this method, which basically means that you're going to be doing x equals negative b, which is positive 9, as negative 9 equals to positive 9. Now this is positive 9 plus or minus the square root of the square of negative 9, which is 81, minus 4 times a, which is in this case 1, times 6, which is c, over 2 times a, which is 1. So that basically means x equals 9 plus or minus root 81 minus 24 over 2. We'll just erase this question out, as you already know what the question was. Like that. And then x equals 9 plus or minus root of 57 over 2. That's the answer. Now I think you can simplify this. Or if you can't simplify, leave it. But simplifying square root is another topic I'll be teaching. You can just leave it like this And now I hope actually you understand the quadratic equation and factorization. I hope to see you in the next video. Goodbye and thank you.